I see then. You shall be my opponent.
Galahad spoke, stepping forward. He had young features, as if he had just become an adult. His silvery plate armor was less lustrous than Gawain's, and his pale blue eyes were filled with amazement at his surroundings. His foe, Ogier, crossed the dusty floor toward him, each step smearing the several puddles of blood that littered the arena floor. He took a head and a half over Galahad, and was nearly twice as broad, a knight's knight in all sense of the word. His plate armor was accented by the drawing of his sword from its sheath, its squared-off tip gleaming as it was pointed towards his foe. "Indeed I am."
Then well met.
Galahad pulled his sword from its scabbard. It was old and bronzed, completely opposite the steel of his allies, and of a make unlike the Greek sword which Achilles had used earlier. Along its edge, numerous chips and signs of wear showed its usage, almost to the point where it seemed unable to function. "Your sword is worn, Sir Knight. Ask for another. Tournament as this is, if it breaks, I may not be able to stop myself from killing you."
I do appreciate your concern, though do not worry for me. This sword will hold, as it has for this long.
"Very well. Then have at you!" Galahad deflected each blow, which seemed to come from broad strokes, a testing of his skill, or perhaps a show of his foe's confidence. Either case, it was barely an effort to prevent such attacks from meeting his flesh. Hurrah! Ogier brought a fierce swing about, tight and directed for Galahad's side. The Knight of the Round Table met it with his bronze sword and sent it shooting away with great ease, a ringing sound echoing from the contact. "I must say that was unexpected. Cortana is not so easily stopped."
It was a great swing. I can see why you are so concerned for my well-being, though I would not be so much.
Galahad swung his sword swiftly, aiming it towards Ogier's chestplate. It struck the sword instead and sent the taller warrior stumbling back, his boots scraping into the sand before pulling to a stop. The next swing came and hit the squared-off sword, a flash of sparks dancing through the air as he stepped back. The Dane watched on as Galahad pushed forward and swung swiftly at him again. This swing clashed firmly with Ogier's Cortana, and he stuttered back again. Galahad shooting in for a series of attacks most rapid. The strikes resounded, throwing the bearded Dane backwards. Galahad kept pace on him, though. The follow-throughs were flawless and unavoidable. Ogier pitched back from a strike and found his foot meeting the edge of a crater, specifically the one left from the Monkey King's massive swing matches prior, his eyes shaking as Galahad came soaring forward. Despite the unexpected nature, Galahad blocked it with a swift upward swing before striking down in the same movement. The air hummed with the strike as it scraped down the front of Ogier's armor, a trail of sparks running down the metal before stopping as Galahad looked up.
You can weather a storm of attacks so easily, and with the strength to counter. I must applaud that.
Galahad took the moment to reset, taking a few steps back to alleviate the pressure his larger foe was facing at the edge of the crater. "How respectful of you. You could have certainly kept pressing me until I fell within. That surely would have given you a victory."
I would rather win on even ground. Anyone can strike another in disposition. This is not a battlefield. Not that I would use such tactics there either.
"Noble then, aren't you?"
I try to be. 'Tis the code of a Knight of the Round Table. Gawain embodies that as well, and a few others among us strive to be even more noble than that.
"Admirable. Now then, I've gained a moment to catch my breath. We can continue any time you'd like."
Very well.
Galahad spoke, his front foot pushing into attack. The Cortana struck to the side, Galahad blocking it easily with his blade. He pressed his right foot between Ogier's legs and spun quickly, his sword slashing into the larger warrior's breastplate. A good strike, to be sure. Ogier readied himself as Galahad entered a defensive stance. "But how about this one?" Ogier pressed inward, his sword swinging, intending for Galahad's side like a cleaver. Sword met sword, and Galahad resisted the blow. His feet shuffled minimally as he balanced against the attack. Another heavy swing slammed down, only to be blocked. Ogier pressed forward and swung again, and again, and again, All of the attacks were sent swiftly aside by counters from Galahad, the smaller of the two proving able to deflect just about any blow. What exactly do I have to do to hit you? That's twice now you've met me, while I have yet to get close.
You can continue trying. This is certainly a good effort. Sir Galahad or Garrus, both would probably be at the level of your skill, both of whom have struck me a time or two in sparring.
Are they lowly warriors, then? Is that an insult?
No, don't take it as such. They are both mighty fine knights. I don't want to give you the wrong idea, though. My name is Galahad. I am the fairest warrior in King Arthur's court, the greatest knight of the Round Table.
Is this not just an ego trip, claiming such things?
It isn't a claim, it is a fact. I again do not mean to hide that, but it does feel better to come clean now than after our match ends. I do not want the fight to seem patronizing.
Patronizing? So you have been withholding in this match, outside of not wishing me dead?
Yes, I have.
Ogier entered a defensive stance and narrowed his gaze. Then show me, greatest knight of the Round Table, your fullest potential.
If that is what you wish, I will not disappoint you.
Galahad pressed inward. After the first attack, Ogier was sent shooting backwards, his sword being of no use and being cast aside. A barrage of slashes whirled out from Galahad, striking away at his foe's armor and tearing into the ground. Wind churned as the air hummed and buzzed with his movements. That was Galahad's finishing blow, throwing Ogier to the ground, the tip of his bronze sword pointing into the Danish warrior's face. 5 moves. You bested me in 5 moves.
Yes, do not be ashamed. Even the best knights were beaten just as quickly.
Then I will not be. However, I have to make this official. I forfeit. You are the victor, Galahad.
'Twas an excellent match. Hold your head high upon returning to your terrace.
Galahad reached down and offered a hand. Ogier was humble, accepting it. I would say best of luck in upcoming matchups, but you may not need it. For a while, at least.
We shall see.
Galahad nodded his head, looking over the ring at the Archangel standing alone.
Looks like he knows the angel. Could be interesting if things get down to it.
The Monkey King grinned. Michael's gaze turned to acknowledge Galahad, and he nodded. Noble war. Now, as that match concluded, golden light rose above the head of another warrior within the Greek terrace, and he rose to his feet. He wore no armor, no tunic. His torso was bare for the world to see, while a cloth and belt were wrapped around his waist. His sandals were simple, with greaves that covered from just below his knee down to his ankles. His light brown hair danced as he straightened, grabbing 2 pieces of hide from the bench beside him.
Pollux?
Atalanta raised a brow as he straightened. Just getting tired of all these damn swords. Atalanta, Peleus' kid. Don't worry. I'll avenge your defeats.
Hey, can you really do that? Avenge my defeats.
Achilles was also curious.
Just watch. It'll be quick.
Heracles folded his arms as his fellow warrior hopped into the ring. This could be interesting.